Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Behind the Comic. I'm your host, Paul Roseberry, and tonight we have a dinger for you. This is a fun one. This is a very recent story. As you see in the title, it's called COVID versus the Fear. The lightning bolts are crashing. The fear. Let's get right into it. In this holiday season, Chelsea and I were invited to a Christmas party, and then we weren't allowed to go. Shut down. Not allowed. It was a Christmas Eve party. A group email went out about a week before Christmas Eve, and it went out to 7 people, including the host. So 6 guests and the host. And it goes out and it says, hey, everybody, Christmas Eve party, blah, blah, blah. Just as a precaution, we're going to need everybody to go get a COVID test for the party. Okay, at a glance, that seemed reasonable. It sounded logical for a minute. You're like, all right, everyone, people being a little cautious. You would hope that people, especially in a group of 6, people who know each other, we've all hung out for years, we know each other very well. You'd think that we would just kind of trust that no one would show up to a party with COVID. If you got a fever, you would stay home, you would hope. But I get it. There's like the whole non-visible symptom. Okay. Sure. Fine. Now, we found it almost impossible to get in for a test. That was the crazy thing. We didn't know it was going to be this hard. Chelsea and I were calling around. We're trying to book. We can't get anything in. And then we started to think about it. The email went out a week before, asking us to get a test before the party. Does it really matter at all if we get a test any time prior to walking in the front door of the party? Does it really? How many of us went through this? Many people, I'm sure, may have gone to a party where you had to get a test first. But if you think about it, getting a test 4 days before the party means you didn't have COVID probably 4 days before the party. Who knows what since then? Have you been in a vacuum chamber? An iron lung? Doubtful.
Oh, what?
An iron lung. That's where you go anyway. I liken it to the metal detector at the airport. When you go to the airport, you walk through a metal detector, and then immediately, assuming everything went fine, you were negative, you get on the airplane. Right then. You would never go to the airport on Monday, walk through the metal detector, everything's fine, go home, go do your merry business, go to work, go to the store, do a cartwheel in the park, whatever the hell you do, and then go think you're going to walk willy-nilly onto a plane on Friday. No, sir. The metal detector's right before you get on for a reason, because we don't know what you've been doing since the last time if we haven't seen you since. And that's the same idea with getting a negative test. So the idea, first of all, we just disproved that the test would even have any value as you walk in the door if it were 4 or 5 days prior or at any moment in the past. Let's go a step farther. Do you know where you go to get a test? You go to a clinic. Do you know who else goes to a clinic? People who are pretty sure they have COVID. Yeah. People who are sick, people who have symptoms, people who have a fever, people who are really in tough shape. And they're like, oh my God, I'm not just curious to get a test for a party. I think I need a doctor. I'm that sick, whether it's COVID or any kind of flu, they're in tough shape. So they go to a clinic. Sick people congregate at a clinic. Now, who I believe does not have COVID, I think I don't have COVID, but I'm going to go get a piece of paper to prove to my friends that I definitely don't. How am I going to do it? I'm going to go hang out with a bunch of people who have COVID. That's how you get COVID. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Why would you go to a place full of people who have COVID just to prove you didn't have COVID before you walked in the door? The best thing that test is going to say, hey, good news, Paul. This piece of paper says you don't have COVID. Asterisk, you didn't have COVID before you walked in, but the guy in seat 3 just keeled over and that guy can't breathe, so I can't guarantee what the hell you got while you were here, but you didn't have it up to 2 days prior to today's test. Sweet. Awesome. That was good. Good thing I didn't just stay home and hang out until it was time for the party. 2 strikes against getting a test. 1, it doesn't hold up to make any sense if it's not right at the door. 2, I'm going to get COVID just for getting the test. 3, here's strike 3. Sweating a little bit. I'm hot. Don't have COVID. Hope. That would be weird. Strike 3. In order to go to the party, you gotta be a good guest. And what does being a good guest means? It means you bring a dish, a little something you whipped up all Betty Crocker in your kitchen. And how do you do that? Well, you leave your place and you go to the store. And who's at the store? Everyone else in the whole city who lined up to get their little flour and eggs so they could go to a party with a dish as well. So that means you're in a packed grocery store. Some guy's got his nose hanging out. Some dude in aisle 6 lifted his mask so he could steal a goddamn croissant. That might have been me. You're in the worst place you could be. The highest density, second place to a clinic, which definitely has COVID people, is the grocery store, which is full of just randos lined up outside, and they all, come on, you're trying to give me COVID. That's the gift of this party. Hey, Secret Santa, guess what you got? COVID, just like everyone else, because you went through the steps it took to get in the door. God damn. So you see how this party has almost guaranteed to inflict COVID upon me. And yet these are the steps I have to go through to prove to others that I didn't, at some point in the past, not have COVID. Make it a little more weird? Should we make it weirder? Should we make it weirder? Should we make it weirder? Let's make it weirder. Do it. Here's what makes it weirder, folks. How many people did I say were on that list? 7. The host sent an email to 6 other people. Part of the request of that email was that each person, upon receiving their negative test results, sends a copy of the test results in the email for everyone else to see to prove. You think I'm going to say that you don't have COVID? It's really to prove that you're not a liar. That you're not a liar. How crazy is that? 6 people! We all know each other and like each other enough to spend a holiday together. You think these are people we trust? It wasn't 7 people pulled out of the parking lot at Home Depot. We know each other. We're friends. There's only 7 of us. But you gotta send a proof so everyone else knows you're not full of shit. Because that's the only other thing that could mean. If you have to send proof, then it means that we didn't really trust you. You could be lying. You could be full of it. Dude, we're supposed to be friends. Chelsea and I tried to do the dance. We looked all over. We called a few places. We actually went to a place until we realized, my God, not only did they not have any more tests to give, because everyone else in LA was trying to get these tests, because no one's thinking with their brains. They're all running to these clinics together. But then we realized, I don't think I want to be at the clinic. This is not, that guy wrapped in a blanket with an ice pack on his head. I don't want to sit next to him for 45 minutes while I find out if I can have my brain swabbed. So, I hope this has been an enjoyable breakdown as to why it made no sense to have a requirement to show that you didn't have COVID to go to this party. Now, here's the thing. As we've broken down that it made no sense, you gotta ask yourself, so why did it result in these people still barring us from getting in the door, from not being able to go? It's because these people, they're good people. I want to clarify. I like these people. I've said many times, these are my friends, friends of friends. They're good people, and they're trying to do the right thing that they think is the right thing, but they made one mistake. They were inflicted with something far worse than COVID, and that's the fear. The fear, guys. Have you noticed people are running around in fear? Every business has their own little new rule they try to make up because they thought of some way that we're going to prevent COVID and we want everyone to know about it and we advertise it. Everyone...
Clarify, we're in LA.
We're in LA. It's the worst. Oh, we're going to get to that. But I mean, the fear is the pandemic. All right? Like in a kind of a serious note, COVID's scary. COVID's real. The fear is worse, because this is the thing. If you reach a point where something comes into your life and puts so much panic that you abort your own sense of what is right and wrong through your own eyes, you've already lost. You have. There's nothing left. COVID or not. What's left inside of you? You guys, this is the holiday. Nobody lives in LA, okay? Everyone's from somewhere else. Chelsea and I are from somewhere else. Everyone else at that party is from somewhere else. That means all of our families are somewhere else. That means all we have in this city, in these dark times where it gets dark at 3 o'clock because it's the winter, and when it's dark just because you can't go anywhere and do anything during lockdown, and these are hard times to get through, the only thing you have is your friends. And for something to come along that would inflict so much fear in a group of otherwise decent people so that they would turn their back on their friends at the holiday, not even religious, but Christmas, really, come on, at Christmas, you got to ask yourself, what did that? And it's far worse. It's far worse. Sometimes you got to it takes guts, guys. You got to realize that life has risk. Getting out of bed has risk. You can get hit by a bus, you get struck by lightning. It could be like in the cartoons where an anvil or a piano falls on your head. Life involves risk. And you got to just accept the fact that when you get out of bed, you're taking some risk and you're willing to accept it and move on and push against it. And that's how you get grit. That's how you have guts. Balls, should I say it.
Right, because the risk was the same whether we got a test or not, and if someone else...
That's the point. Exactly, Chelsea. My point is that none of these things which were set up as a means to try to make sure no one had COVID, none of them worked. And that's why this is like comical. Because if you did the temperature at the door and someone had a 102, they got to go home. They should be in bed. They would agree with you. When you go to a restaurant, you go to a bar, you go to the gym, you go anywhere, comedy club. They take your temp at the door, and if it's good, you're in. Because you know why? If you said to someone at a restaurant when they were standing there with the little gun and they want to take your temp at the door, you go, no, don't take my temp at the door. I was tested 5 days ago at a clinic. I'm good. I'll show you a paper. And they'd go, yeah, that's cool. That was 5 days ago. You want to go in this restaurant right now? We got to take your temp right now. That's how you do it. So point being, I had to get that out there because I know we're all struggling. We're all trying to figure this out. And there is some humor involved. But there's also just kind of a call to let's just get back to ourselves. Let's get back to thinking with our own brains. And let's remember, LA is one of the most locked down cities in the country. Every precaution possible is being taken, and we're being hit the worst. Isn't that weird? Doesn't that make you wonder a little bit? Maybe it's because we don't have that gut. When you have a little bit of gut, you can fight off a lot of things. I'm not saying you're COVID-proof because you got grit, but it helps you to fight whatever comes down the pike. Look at Florida. Look at Florida. Florida is full of wackos. Rarely are they praised for being awesome at anything other than being a bunch of wackos. But Florida... they have some of the fewest precautions, right or wrong, they just do. And their cases aren't really wildly beyond anyone else's. Why? Because they try to trade baby alligators for packs of cigarettes, and they throw alligators through drive-through windows at Wendy's. Look up Florida Man, at Florida Man. It's on Twitter. It's unbelievable. People in Florida wake up in the morning knowing that shit gonna get cray, and they got guts, and they deal with it, and that pushes them through. They're not invincible, but they can handle a little bit more, and I think it holds their immune a little higher. I can't beat this point any farther, but it was a wild story I wanted to share. We were alone at Christmas. We had each other, and we have our little dog Q, who we love, so it was the three of us.
It was a humble Christmas.
It was, we had each other, as long as we got each other. Anyway, that's tonight's Behind the Comic, and I'm sweating in this robe. I look like I got the vid.
Take it off.
Maybe I should go to a clinic. See you guys next time. I'm Paul Roseberry.